Oh boy, it's time to get fired up. I think. Hello, Felix. Hello, Anonymous. Hello, Vinylicious. Hello, Sun Commentary. I'm not feeling very fired up. Hello, J Hart. I'm looking to get fired up. I need y'all to fire me up. Whatever it takes. Do your best. I'm out of ideas. Bless you. Thank you. Sun Commentary. Do you like commentate on the sun? I think the sun's pretty sick. Get hype, get hype. That is what Vinyl would say, isn't it? Vinylicious. Any direction? Up. I always used to watch a 6-hour video of 250 anime recommendations on my way to work like 5 months ago. Well, dang. Did you know I did a later one that was 420 anime recommendations? It's not as long, though. Also, it doesn't actually go to 420. I give up. But it does go above 250, I think. Maybe I will commentate on Sun as well. Oh, so you are Sun and you do commentary, rather than being commentary about the Sun. I see. I recently discovered it. Yes. To be perfectly honest, there probably are not 250 anime really worth watching, but, you know. That's for you to find out, really. Anime does not really fire me up these days. It's been a while since I got fired up from anime. If the goal is hype up, have the back to the ground and belly to the sky. That way your body and attitude is focused upward. Okay. Interesting theory. Okay. This feels very strange. Particularly because I have to hold the camera up. I guess I don't have to. Oh, I kind of do, because it requires vertical orientation. Or else it bothers me about fixing the orientation. But hey, look, I'm not completely on the floor anymore. You got me to an elbow position. So I guess that's a little bit more fired up than previously. You know, movement was involved. You're lying down on the bed right now. Well, probably hard to fire somebody up when you're not fired up yourself, huh? What can we do to get ourselves fired up, y'all? It's time to fire it up. Up, and away. I'm fired up for 2028, President Trixie. I'm tired of this Trump character. I'm not gonna lie, I forget about that dude most of the time. Since moving out of my parents' house, I don't, like, receive any news except for, like, the occasional Blue Sky headline. Or, like, I'll be cooking in the kitchen and there's an Amazon Alexa that Shade set up there that has a screen on it, and it'll, like, show me a headline. But last night it showed me a headline that was like, economy bouncing back because of something or other. And I was like, no, it's fucking not. Shut the fuck up. What are you fucking talking about? That's not real. So, yeah, I try to avoid the news because it feels like it's just designed to make me mad. Specifically me. It feels like the news is designed to make me angry. So I don't want to watch it. Your anime recommendations were actually so good. My plan to watch is at like 1,000 entries. I thought there was no good anime left that I didn't hear of. Your video gave me so many new shows to put on my list. There truly are an endless number of anime. I'm eating food and drinking water right now. That helps. I'm already kind of full. Line going up now. All right, Anonymous. That's pretty fired up. That is a pretty fired up graph you got there. You got a leg movement out of me. Look at that. Check that out. You got a whole leg up, a whole leg raise with that little graph there. I can't wait till Trixie replaces Donald Trump as a president of the United States. Me too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I am not totally confident in 2028 being my year because not that many people have heard of me, and it will take some kind of small miracle to get the word out there about my presidency by the time of 2028. When's the last time I took shrooms? Way too fucking long ago. I guess like, well, I had some mushroom chocolate last summer, but it wasn't like super strong, and I didn't have a ton of it. But like last January, I did by far the most mushrooms I've ever done. It was like straight up like 2 whole weeks of doing shrooms like every single day. Just because I had a ton of them. When SAO comes back, will you make a video? Probably not. I'll probably never talk about Sword Art Online again because it doesn't. I can't. Unless I thought I was gonna make like a stupefying amount of money off of it, but I don't really see. I don't think that would happen. I don't see how it would be worth my time from an emotional investment standpoint. Get back on the shrooms. They're not so easy to come by here. The reason I had so many is because it was like California. Don't you have to wait a few days to get the same effect? I always wait a week. Definitely there's diminishing returns. But I wasn't doing like I've never tried to do like so many that I was going to have a crazy trip, you know? I've always just kind of done enough to amplify whatever experience I'm already having. I've done acid a few times and mushrooms, probably more times just based on that 2-week period of doing them like every day, but never to such an extent that I felt like I totally lost track of reality. I've never gone on psychedelics hard enough that I felt like reality didn't make sense, or like that nothing. Like I never got so far that the things I was seeing didn't make sense to me. If that makes sense. Just grow them by yourself. It's super fun to see them grow every day. I've never really tried to grow anything like living. So maybe. I'm always worried about the temperature management aspect because where I live is extremely humid most of the year. And otherwise, I also travel a lot. So maintaining something that has to stay stationary and in a certain like environment is really difficult. How did I come up with the name Trixie for myself? Well, it started with Beatrice because that's my first name, and Trixie is a short form of Beatrice. The reason I chose the name Beatrice is because back in 2011, I watched the anime adaptation of Umineko no Nakukoro ni, the visual novel that I've been playing live on the channel. I was supposed to play it last night, but I was simply too dissociated to do it. It was too in my head. And and I'm still too in my head. Hence why I'm trying to get fired up with y'all. Um, but the anime version of Umineko, my friend Marcus had watched it and was really into it, and he got me and Victor to watch it as a result of that. And the three of us started making music together, just like random experimental, like little improv things. And so I started releasing those under the name Trial of the Golden Witch, which was based off of one of the episode titles of that show. And we were using like names of characters from the show initially, but I quickly stopped doing that, and it just became my personal music release thing. Like basically anybody I collaborated with, or if I was just making stuff by myself, I released it under the name Trial of the Golden Witch. And I've been doing that since 2011. When I started Gender Transition, I found out that the character Beatrice the Golden Witch from Umineko, who is sort of the main villain slash hero, kind of, depending on your perspective, is apparently like maybe transgender or something later in the novel. I haven't actually gotten that far to understand. But when I found that out and I realized that in my music I am usually the one who is on trial, I figured that the trial of the Golden Witch means that I am the Golden Witch, and and my music is my trial. Not only the trial I'm going through, putting myself on trial, but it's also putting you on trial. It is the trial I'm putting you through. So in recognition of that, I thought, okay, I'll name myself Beatrice after the Golden Witch, because I was having a really hard time picking a name that I felt connected to in a meaningful way. You know, like I didn't just want to select a name and then get sick of it a year later or whatever. I wanted a name that already felt connected to me. And since I had been Trial of the Golden Witch for like 12 years already or something, well, I guess it hadn't been that long when I started Transition. It would have been like 9 years that I've been using Trial of the Golden Witch. And so I thought, okay, I will just be Beatrice the Golden Witch. And then to distinguish myself from the character from Umineko, I'll call myself Trixie the Golden Witch. And then it also becomes a reference to My Little Pony, because you have the Trixie character from My Little Pony. And that's how I started off, was as a pony channel, you know? So I figured it would tie everything together really well. To have the full internet handle, Trixie the Golden Witch. So my real offline name that I go by is Beatrice, or just B for short. But I go by Trixie online. And that's why. Apologies to everybody who's heard that explanation like a bunch of times already, but something I do to get ideas to amp myself up just by the gremlin murmur suspiciously about the concepts and idea that you have passing interest in, and if they bring more interest. That is typically how I do my job, pretty much, but mushrooms like humidity, maybe it'll help that. Bring back Endless Jess. I can't, I don't have the means with which to summon him. He's in his own world. Trixie, is there any Takashi Miike stuff worth watching other than his popular shit? I haven't really seen that much. I've seen, I think the first one of his that and they were all from my cousin showing them to me, so I think the first one he showed me was Dead or Alive, which has like a really crazy beginning, ending, and like a couple crazy scenes, but it's mostly really slow and strange, which is how I describe a lot of Takashi Miike's films, really. They usually start and end really crazy, and in the middle is a lot of just slow, weird stuff. Visitor Q is really crazy. Happiness of the Katakuris is really crazy. Gozu is really crazy, and that's probably was my favorite at the time, at least. There were some, Audition is pretty good, although it's very easy to spoil yourself on it, and it kind of lessens the impact of it. What else have I seen? I never watched Ichi the Killer because the scenes I had seen from it online freaked me out too much. What do you think about Groove Adventure Rave? I was a big Rave Master fan of the manga when it was before the anime started coming out in the United States, and I think that was probably the first case of the anime kind of ruining the experience for me of something, where like it happened a lot around that time where, you know, as a fan of anime first, when you get into a manga, you're of course hoping that it's going to have like an awesome anime, and a lot of the time, even if the anime wasn't that bad, it was just a dub. It would be so fucking terrible. It's like Shaman King just had this terrible dub. Rave Master had a terrible dub. And I remember in particular, like, there were songs that are in the text of the Rave Master graphic novel that I, like, wanted to hear adapted to the show. And then I think some of them were, and it just wasn't good. You know, and it was like, ah, shit. So I think I had read, like, 10 volumes of Rave Master, and then I started getting tired of it. I feel like it just got repetitive, and I lost interest. I got really into Naruto, and that became kind of my new favorite for a while. If you became a president, I can imagine weebs and otakus and bronies going crazy. Crazy with power. Why haven't you gone to Japan yet? I popped in once to Narita Airport on my way to the Philippines, but mostly budgeting. It is a very expensive flight, and so, you know, you'd have to really be, like, ready to put money away for that. And I'm not any good at planning anything. Like, I know a lot of, like, I know a lot of people who live in Japan, you know, so I will probably end up, or who visit, like, Butthole Weeb visits Japan a lot. And he's mentioned the possibility of taking me and Bird. And I've got friends like Mopu and Bakaraptor who live in Japan. I feel like I'm forgetting Matt versus Japan. I still haven't actually met him in person, but I'm sure it will happen eventually. Do I need to grow up and read a book? No. 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 I literally don't understand why people put so much credence on books as, like, that they are, like, I think writing and reading are important skills to have. I don't think that specifically books are, like, more important than reading, like, shit on the internet in terms of, like, effectiveness of communicating information. Like, ugh. Most of the books that people who like books like are, like, confusing clusterfucks that barely mean anything, even to them, you know? So it's bizarre to me that people will tell you all day, like, oh, you know, books are good for you, but then very rarely do people have specific books, and usually when they do, it's like a nonfiction self-help book, you know, and not like, or it's a novel that they cannot describe to you why it is worth reading in any way. Hello, Turlo Zap. Accommodation is the expensive part. I'm in Australia, so flights can get pretty cheap. Stay with friends if you can. For sure. Do you prefer Robotech or Macross? Macross. I'm moving there to Takayama in a couple years to work in a ramen shop. Hell yeah. I bet you know this already, but to become president, you need to grow a platform first. In order to do that, you need to have connections and talk about popular topics that people care about. I mean, okay. So, every time I talk in real life with someone about my desire to become president, people tell me about how other people have become president, which in my mind is not, strictly speaking, relevant at all. All that matters is that enough people vote for me. Like, more people vote for me than vote for other candidates. That's it. That's all that matters. There's a lot of reasons people might do that. But, like, I've been pretty much saying that, like, the core of my platform is I will just make it so only billionaires pay taxes. Anybody with less than $1 billion, you don't pay any taxes. Income taxes, I mean. Or property taxes. If you have $1 billion in assets, obviously that still counts. So we're only taxing billionaires, but we're taxing them to like 99% of their income, like their personal income, to pay for everything else. All it really takes is enough Americans deciding that that's what they want from the president, and knowing that there is a candidate who will do that, and then picking that candidate, you know? And I feel like you could accomplish that through literally just memes, you know? Like, just through, like, a couple of really well orchestrated clips, you know? That were really shoved down people's throat. Like, I really think a huge part of Obama getting elected was that fucking hope meme, you know, like you know the meme. I don't know why I'm trying to explain it to you. You know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. The Obama hope meme got him elected. Trump being a meme got him elected twice. So, you know, I think I can take the meme approach, and it's just hard to describe to people what that would look like, because there's too much idea in people's head about what's already happened, and the expectation that the same thing would happen again, which is not really rational, you know? Like, on some level, history can predict the future, but on some level, history absolutely cannot predict the future, in the sense that, you know, nothing in history predicted, like, that we were going to start doing electricity, and everything's been different since then, you know? Like, it was a lot of fucking time before that, you know? And everything after it is so different. Nobody at any point in history imagined the future we would have now. So, if you're trying to imagine the future based on the past, it's going to leave you with a lot of wrong expectations. Oh, I'm standing now. I said enough words to stand up. Now I'm drinking at 6 in the morning. Okay. I can't stand to hear this fan. I turned it down to low. It's still kind of loud, though. Yo, what do you think I should do to try to make some money? And again, don't rely on history. History doesn't help. What's a futuristic way of making money for someone like me? I'm trying to think about, you know, I don't want to be repeating things that I did before, because if those things were worth doing, I'd still be doing them. There must be something new that's worth doing. I haven't figured out yet or heard about. Something I don't even know about. I get the feeling I'm really good at something I've never heard of. Is that a Bud Ice? No, this is the Bull. Bold Lager, rather. From Schlitz. And it also says Pabst.com on it, so I think it's somehow Pabst related. Stroh Brewery. It somehow says Schlitz, Stroh, and Pabst on it. I don't really understand. All I know is it's less than $1 a can. It just got 5.9% alcohol, so it's a pretty good bang for your buck. I think it might just be, I mean, it says bold lager. It tastes like malt liquor. This is like, it does say a full-bodied malt beverage. It's kind of like a Miller High Life, but a little more body. Less fizz. Go back in time and join the Trash Taste podcast. No, thank you. Could you imagine actually being on that show? Like, okay, here's a problem I have with media consumption, and I think it contributes a lot to why I do my career the way I do, which is that when I consume media, all I can see is the production. Like, I can't get immersed. Like, I can't take myself out of the shoes of the people making the fucking thing. So when I watch anything, I find myself, like, even if I'm engaging with the story, you know, I'm intrigued by it. I like the characters. I can think about it as though it were, you know, a thing that's happening in this little world. But I don't feel like emotionally fully engaged usually. And if I do, it's usually kind of terrifying, you know, like, it feels like overwhelming to be pulled into something to such an extent that I'm not still in that, like, meta space. And if I do get that overwhelmed, I might check out, you know, like, I might start dissociating because I can't handle, like, forgetting who I am and getting too involved in the movie, you know. Bird's been watching Doctor Who, like marathoning Doctor Who, and just straight up acting like the Doctor. Like, the level of immersion he's gotten into Doctor Who, he has completely started embodying the mannerisms of Doctor Who. So, you know, I feel like I was a little more like that before. The closest I can ever remember is watching, like, a lot of Kitchen Nightmares and kind of having a Gordon Ramsay accent for a week. In terms of being, like, deeply imprinted. And I take on a lot of speaking cadences and attitudes from analysis videos I watch. But again, it's not as obvious or as singular at this point because there's so much combined. But again, it's hard for me, even when I'm watching, like, analysis videos, to not be thinking about, like, why is the person making this? You know, I connect more with trying to understand what inspired the work and what went into making it than actually what it is, you know? Because what it is usually kind of tropey, you know, like, it's the how they went about it that's really intriguing. Like, you know, if it's just like a drawing of, like, a cute cat boy or whatever, then that's fine and all, but it's like, how did they arrive at this? What are they conveying through this? What was on the author's mind, you know, when they drew this cat boy? That's where I tend to go. So with something like Trash Taste, I'm imagining, like, the experience of doing it, which is, it's in, like, a studio, obviously. Like, it's not like a house. It's like a fake house in a studio with a shitload of lighting on you. And you got 3 guys, kind of like good-looking guys who don't really know each other, who are all independently famous for talking about anime, but they didn't, like, grow up together or anything like that, you know? They're just, like, famous people who kind of know each other. And they get together once a week to act like they're friends and that they watch anime or care about anime or, I don't know, share whatever random shit related tangentially to this culture that they became famous through has come to their attention recently. And as, like, a thing to do just to catch a bag, that sounds really, like, easy and satisfying, you know, like, oh, whatever, I just kind of shit out whatever I gotta say about anime, and then I make a whole lot of money. It's pretty easy way to live, I would think. I'm sure they do lots of other stuff. Like, I think everybody on that podcast is probably not that big, not that huge a part of their week, you know, they've probably got a lot of other stuff going on. But that's just how I imagine it. I can't imagine that it's like a full-time job for, you know, for anyone except the editors. Because it's usually not. usually with these big YouTube operations, there's usually like, again, just these guys usually have a ton of shit going on, you know? For me, I have a major, I keep saying this phrase this way because it's funny to me, a major dissociative disorder. I have a really hard time putting myself into like specific headspaces that I'm like, for the sake of doing a task that I know like logically I'm supposed to do, so to speak. Like, doing the content show was really difficult for me, and it shouldn't have been. Like, nothing about it was specifically difficult other than always, like, showing up. You know? Like, wanting to be there at the time it's done. And you know, and stay and stick around. And, like, it was particularly that, like, we were filming it during a pretty chaotic time in my life. So it's like, I'm kind of divorcing the emotional state that I'm in at home, you know, shutting it. It's basically like Severance, you know, like in that show how they have like a work self and a home self that literally don't know about what's going on in one another's worlds. You know, it's like there's a feeling that like clocking in that I think is very normal, and most people go to work and they have to kind of try to forget about, you know, whatever they're thinking about at home. And some people can like pour that emotion into the work. Some people, the emotion affects the work. I'm definitely the type of person where the emotion pulls me out of it, where like I'm not going to forget what I'm thinking and feeling and be able to concentrate on this work. I'm going to be 1 foot out, you know? And I hate that. I hate that state of uncomfort of like knowing I'm not doing the best work I could be doing because I'm distracted by something else that I'd rather be working on, you know? And so I tend to get pulled around a lot by whatever I feel like I have to do for myself emotionally in that moment. And the problem is that's not very conducive to any kind of like normal structured work environment, including YouTube, including a show like Trash Taste, where it is like turn up and like be on your best presentation, you know, look handsome, have things to say, like want to be there, wear a smile the whole time. I've gotten myself smiling because I've gotten myself kind of fired up. But I'm not the type of person who knows, it's not like, oh, I can't fake a smile because I'm so fucking cool or whatever and principled. No, I literally can't. Like, I don't know how. I don't know how to do it. I have not ever practiced at it. Like, people who are celebrities, they've practiced smiling. They've put effort into learning how to be doing it all the time because it's part of selling the image. Like, part of their product is being a happy looking person. I don't know how to do that. So like, you know, if I show up and you can tell I'm not all there, you're not going to want to work with me, you know? So that's why I've really kind of secluded myself in a work sense. And it tends to be that I collaborate in a very distant way, or with people who I'm really close with. And even then, only occasionally, because I'm usually not that close. You know, people who I'm really emotionally close with, I'm not usually very physically close with. So I don't get a lot of opportunities to actually do that kind of work. And also, as I learned through a lot of my PCP friendships, combining your work relationships and your personal relationships damages both of them, sometimes irreparably. So I really don't try to mix them up too much, unless like I'd collaborate with people never with the expectation that it's going to make me any money, because my collaborations never make me money. Just straight up, like, there has never been a time where something I did with other people landed me at like a profit, like a net profit. It's always been a net deficit. Monetarily, it's literally any collaboration I've ever done, I've come at a net deficit for it. And I'm fine with that because I like doing collaborations. It just makes it harder to do them because I don't know how to profit off of them at all. I just never have successfully profited off of a collab. So, you know, it's sad because I love collaboration, but I'm just so bad at monetizing it. Because I just want to do it for fun, you know? I'm not trying to have a product as much as I am trying to have a good time and hope that that becomes a product somehow. All right, let me read through this here. Let's hear chat. What have y'all been talking about? Nobody hates anime more than anime YouTubers except for me. That's true. The anime guru loves anime more than any other anime-tuber. You heard it here. David Salem, Trash Taste are based. Their cyclothons are very cool and all vibes. I have no idea what that means. Like they ride cycles? Like stationary bikes or like bikes? I bet some memes will involve image posts of Beatrice from the anime series and Trixie Lullamoon from MLP where they talk about becoming a president of the United States. That'd be great. Do you like Twin Peaks? I've only seen like 5 or so episodes, I think. You asked a way to make money. I've seen other talented YouTubers become writers and or hosts for bigger corporate channels. Maybe you can find one of those to hire you to make videos for them. Problem with that is I don't again, I'm not like a good industry pick, you know? Like that's not the kind of thing you would really I could see someone wanting me to write for them. I could not see someone wanting me to host for them. I mean, Miles from Crunchyroll was pretty explicit with me when he was picking anime YouTubers for the Crunchyroll Awards that there was no chance I would be on stage. Industry people don't like me. I bring a certain going to tell all of their secrets to the world energy to the party that industry people don't like. But writing, though, you can do that on the down low. You can do writing for people without telling anyone that you did it. So if people want to hire me to ghostwrite, I would love to do that. I don't know how you pitch ghostwriting services, like, other than what I'm doing right now. I don't know how do you get, like, how do you pitch that to someone and they accept it without, like, being suspicious of you that you're, like, trying to honeypot them into, you know, revealing that they have ghostwriters. I feel like you are slightly overly caught up on how handsome Trash Taste is. It's kind of pretty important. Looks are tremendously underrated somehow in terms of how important they are to your success, but they're pretty fucking important. You may have noticed that all of my most successful videos don't have me in them. Except for maybe like very brief glimpses. My face, I mean to say. My voice is great. Super great marketable voice. I could even make it more marketable. I could have a real syrupy voice. Hell, I could have a goofy ass voice. I could be doing any voice I want, but the voice will always be good. But the face, this is the first time I made a YouTube video that I actually showed people. Bakaraptor commented, "You've got a face for radio." I agree with him. Even the weed was your meal ticket? No, I lost a lot of money on that one. Probably the deepest money pit of anything I've done, actually. I've made it a point on my channel to collab on every single video. It is the heart of why I enjoy this. I truly am just messing around with friends. That is beautiful. I love watching Shitty Kickflips videos because she's always got like a group of people in like that are clearly involved, you know, like in the process of making it. My videos clearly have no one involved in the process of making them. You could not mistake me for having a crew. It simply couldn't be. How could, unless somebody was insane at following me with the following in front of me with a camera, just unfathomably good at it. Have I tried collabing with Jesus? It's not very lucrative, but it will enrich the soul like nothing else. Jesus walks with me. God show me the way because the devil trying to break me down. They ride across Japan and raise money for charity. That's pretty sweet. I would love to do a ride across Japan, apropos of nothing. Shouldn't I be asleep? No, I gotta fix my sleep schedule. I keep sleeping through, when Bird's at work, which means that I'm up when he's in bed, and I don't like that because I don't really get to see him that much. You know, the time that he is home is like peak internet hours if I'm trying to work. So I'd rather get it so that I'm working at the same time he's working so we can sleep together so that I actually get to spend fucking time with him. Because I hadn't realized how bad it had gotten until we took that trip together. And we were, you know, together the whole time. And then we came back and he has to go back to work. And I'm like, I feel like I'm seeing you for fucking 2 hours out of the day, you know, with how quickly he falls asleep a lot of the time. And we're not like doing anything together, you know, like, when we're traveling, we're literally doing everything together. When we're at home, we're like not doing anything together. It's probably the opposite of a lot of people's dynamic in that sense, but just makes me want to get the fuck out of here. I don't like living in a house. I don't want to be stationary. I really want to live like Kino's Journey and be never in one place for more than 3 days. Like that Jack Black lyric. I can't stay in one place for more than 3 days. Ah! I also wear pajamas in public. That's pretty normal these days. I don't know if you get outside much, but like pajama pants have gotten popular. I do think personally I maybe popularized them because I know I saw myself wearing them in public before I saw anybody else. But this was literally 20 years ago. I've been wearing pajamas in public for 20 years. Plenty of time for it to catch on. And oh boy, has it. So yeah, I'm taking credit for that. Along with analysis videos, I'm also taking credit for the popularity of wearing pajamas in public. Show emails to those bigger channels, but which ones? Like, how do you figure out what channels are hiring ghostwriters, you know? The thing is, the thing about YouTube is that there's two kinds of YouTubers. There's YouTubers who take an insane amount of pride in every single aspect of what they do and have no help. And then there's YouTubers who, like, outsource as much of it as humanly possible, you know? Like, team of writers, team of editors, you know, like studio, they got guys doing the thumbnails, they got guys doing the everything, you know. I am in the category of ridiculous, prideful, want to do it all myself, but not out of like thinking that I can do it better than other people so much as that like I don't know how to explain to anybody what I'm trying to get, you know, even including myself. Like, I usually don't really understand what I'm trying to make until it's done. And then I look at it and I'm like, okay, now I get it, you know? But trying to explain something that I don't even understand to somebody else is hard. And there are a few people who are pretty good at it, though. You know, Devu was an amazing editor, and I would give Devu, like, no direction whatsoever, pretty much. There were a few videos where I would give specific examples of certain things I was saying, but usually it was just like, Devu would just go watch the show that I just watched, having read the script, and find everything I was talking about, you know? Krona is on a wavelength with me like very few people I have ever talked to. If y'all don't know Gigadonk, You should go sub to her channel. I posted her latest video in the community tab, and it's really good. It's called You Need to Get Weirder, and I highly agree with it. But she's one of the few people whom, just in talking to her about collaborative ideas I had, she already had the same ideas. So there are collabs with Crota that are pretty much inevitable as long as nothing stops them from happening, you know. But we've come to the exact same conclusions about things we want to do together. So that's rare, and nice. But is it profitable? I don't know. I think Krona may have the potential to take the torch and run with it farther than I ever dreamed. But maybe she won't want all that responsibility, you know? It's a tough life to be popular on the internet. More so than most people. I don't know. Most people hate public speaking and being perceived, so I think it's a tough life. People want to say it's not, but then they also don't want any of the consequences of doing it, so, you know. You need Japan. Have I done ghostwriting before? I've sold a script before where, like, there was one time on Twitter I was just like, hey, I just wrote a script called Anime is God, and I'll sell it to somebody for $50, and somebody bought it and made it a video, and it was fun, you know. But nobody else hit me up for anything like that. And I don't know if they profited off of, like, having bought that script or anything. I think the video might have got a couple hundred views, but it wasn't like a major YouTuber or anything. It was more like somebody who just thought it would be funny to, you know, give it a go. I think it was called Anime is God. I think that was the one. Does ghostwriting mean confidential and non-disclosure agreement? It can. I mean, it just depends on the... I don't think there's, like, any strict, like, business of what a ghostwriter is, per se. But usually the point of calling it a ghostwriter is that their name is not on it, that they are not credited. If their name is on it, it's not a ghostwriter. You know, like, when Donald Trump writes a book, there's two names. There's his name, and then there's the guy who actually wrote the fucking book's name, you know? Because usually it's like someone... With a book like that, it's like somebody will dictate maybe a handful of ideas to somebody who then fleshes those out into something written, you know? But that's not ghostwriting. Ghostwriting would be if the book just said written by Donald Trump on it and had no other name on it. You'd be like, well, obviously he did not sit at a fucking typewriter and write this book. A ghostwriter was involved, you know? So that's the kind of thing that I know I can do. But again, most of the opportunities for that stuff are, like, situational and... I don't want to say nepotistic so much as, like, connections based. Like, I would just have to know somebody who wanted a ghostwriter. That's all it really comes down to. Or, like, at the very least, I would have to have, like, a manager or something who is going around pitching me to people as a ghostwriter. Like, somebody, and or I'd be, you know, myself going out, like, finding writers or people who are struggling in the writing aspect of trying to be YouTubers and, you know, getting them to let me write for them. I've never been a very, like, boots on the ground type of a person. I've made more social connections in the last 5 years than I ever had before, mostly through hanging out with Riley, who is really good at doing that, and hanging out with Bird, who is really good at doing that in a totally different field. Both of them easily make friends and connections and find their way through society. I really struggle with that. So, you know, it's possible that this is the kind of thing that would not be difficult for me if I had the social skills, instead of just the writing skills. Maybe make 30-minute to 1 hour videos in the same style as Hazel, or Mara Ganger about interesting niche stuff, like heavily internalize how those two market themselves and try to enter that space. I've thought about that. I kind of, like, I don't want to move too much into Hazel's space specifically because she already has, like, a group of friends and creators that are... There's no way that they could be totally unaware of me considering how often I talk about them, but nobody from that camp has ever, like, hit me up or shown any interest. And I have the tendency to think that, like, if people really wanted to be involved with me, they would make that known. And that there are lots of good reasons to not want to be involved with me. You know, there's lots of weird questions that show up at your doorstep when you get involved with me. So I look at myself as a bit of like, I tend to mention creators I like a lot and then see if they say anything, you know, see if they want to, if, you know, if I watch a video by somebody and I say it's really good and then they see that video and then they're like, oh, I'm so glad you saw my video and you liked it, then to me that's like a relationship being established between our channels, you know? For instance, recently, my last proper video on the channel that I've posted was a Kendrick Lamar lyrical analysis, and in it, towards the end, I say if you want like more great Kendrick content, you should watch this channel Cazavelli, because he doesn't have a lot of subscribers yet and does really amazing content about Kendrick and Doechii and all kinds of hip-hop, a lot of hip-hop that I listen to. And his whole aesthetic is like Nintendo DS and Game Boy Advance based, which I really appreciate. And, you know, I shouted him out in that video, and then that day I got a comment from him that's like, hey, thanks for shouting me out in this video. So that says to me, this person endorses my cosign. You know, like this person is happy to be cosigned by me. So therefore, I am going to keep cosigning them. You know, like I'm going to keep promoting this person. And should there be an opportunity that we both wanted to talk about the same thing, I might consider them as somebody I'd reach out to for collaboration, you know? So like other, you know, recent examples, Shitty Kickflips, who's somebody who, you know, by her own description was influenced by me and is also like, you know, not like, uh-oh, Trixie likes me, or uh-oh, Trixie's fans are showing up to my channel, you know? It's like, oh, hey, wow, Trixie likes me. Oh my gosh, Trixie's fans are showing up to my channel. That's a good feeling, you know? Makes me think, okay, I could work with that person. Right now, the person I'm the most interested in working with is Krona, Gigadonk, who I mentioned before, who's already planning to come and visit, and we're already planning to make stuff together. So that's kind of the most inevitable collaboration I see in my own future. How will that become... Like, I don't know if that will be something that is marketable or profitable, or if it's just something that will be personally satisfying. Or if making it marketable or profitable could potentially damage our friendship that is more important to me than a working relationship. But we'll find out, won't we? Have I checked out Drain Gang / Blady or Young Lean yet? I'm not really into that stuff. It's just like too slight for me, too like wayfish and Twinkie and white, for lack of a better word. I know I'm white, but still, to quote my own raps, I don't really like white music, but I like making it, so I find I do it. Let's see. You aren't as hard to look at as you claim. By the way, you've managed to keep me as an audience member for almost 10 years by just being yourself. Well, thank you. I don't think I'm hard to look at. I just don't think I'm, like, attractive. I don't think it's something that... I don't think you click on one of my videos and your first thought is like, oh, you know, good-looking person talking about anime, which is often my first thought, clicking on... Like, if you go click on a Negative Legend video, your first thought is going to be like, wow, this person's gorgeous. I sure hope they're about to tell me interesting information because I'm going to watch regardless. You know, like, that is not the effect that I think my face has. you hear my voice and you're like, oh, I hope this fucking gender ambiguous weirdo is about to tell me some really cool stuff, because I'm gonna have to look at this face for the next couple hours. I'm just trying to be realistic about it. How do I handle people really disliking me, and how do I not care or cope? Simply put, usually they are hating me for really dumb reasons. And so it's easy for me to just be like, well, this person's an idiot, you know? And like, idiots are everywhere all the time. It's not surprising that there are idiots around, you know? If somebody who I respect or who speaks intelligently levies a criticism at me or tells me a reason that they're upset with me and it actually cuts, hopefully I change something about myself, you know? So I appreciate getting criticism because it has evolved me as a person. But when it's just like hate, it's just kind of like, I look at the person as like, wow, look at you. Why are you doing something so pathetic? Like in public, you know? Like when people leave transphobic comments, it's like, what are you gaining from this? Like, you just make yourself look stupid. You make yourself look like an unlikable person. And so I look at that and I just think, wow, this person must like have no friends and be like really sad and suffering, or just angry. Like they must have like a terrible fucking home situation or something, because they're spending their time harassing random trans people on the internet, you know? Like, I just can't imagine that those people have a good lives. So I kind of feel bad for them. If you have so much negative energy inside of you that you have enough to hate me, something's wrong. Something's wrong in your life. I think there's untapped potential for you in the video game space. I'm certain there's a niche in the community that only you can fill, but finding it is the hard part. Now, that is a space I'm very interested in. The only problem is that I struggle to bring myself to play games consistently because I've never figured out how to market it. And like I was saying earlier about how I have a hard time getting immersed in stuff. With video games, I feel like I get more immersed in the sense that like I will become fully involved in the game, but it's so intense that usually I just blast through a game in like a day or two and then I never touch it again, you know? And like I'll have it in my mind, but like I always feel like I have to get back to life, you know, like I have to get back to my life and not keep thinking about this game, because if I let the game consume too much of my life and it never turns a profit off of that, then it's just going to feel like this huge sinkhole I fell into, you know? And granted, I have fallen into these, like, I have like a 36-page Shantae script that like is the whole history of the studio way forward, all of their games before the first Shantae, an in-depth analysis of the first Shantae, in-depth analysis of their next Sigma Star stories, and then I was moving on to Shantae 2, and it was all just going to be like one super ridiculously big video when I was writing it. But then it just got so out of scope that I was like, okay, this should probably be more than one part. And also, am I really committed to doing this? You know, because if I put out this, you know, the first couple parts of this and they'd only get like less than 10,000 views or something, then I'm not going to want to continue it, you know? So I get real insecure about that kind of thing, about like, what if I put in all this effort and it turns out nothing? And especially if I'm doing it mostly for the money, you know, like in the case of Shantae, it's like me trying to find something that marries, you know, potentially profitable with, that I have some passion for it. But I don't know if I'm so passionate that I will feel fulfilled having finished that project if it wasn't profitable also, if that makes sense. And I realize this is me at this point, like way over intellectualizing it and basically just not getting stuff done that obviously would be better to just get done. So I will definitely I'm going to keep thinking about the video game space, because that's frankly the most exciting space in the arts. Like, I love independent animation. Anime is really boring to me these days. Um, Movies are cool, but it's really hard for me to feel engaged with most movies because, again, I get too lost in thinking about the production. With video games, I have too little understanding of how they're made to get that lost in the production. Like, there's an extent to which I can get into the developer's head, particularly when it comes to level design and stuff. But when it comes to the actual programming, I have no fucking idea. I don't know shit about programming other than like the basics of how it theoretically works, like, but nothing literal. So video games still feel kind of magic in that way, but there's also just so fucking many of them and they're so long that like finding a specific gaming niche and fixation is difficult. But Vera, my alter, Vera Bradley, has a channel called Cozy Queer Gaming where she talks about cozy games. None of the videos have super popped off, but they are all really well liked by the people who've seen them. So I think there's potential there if Vera wants to come out and play more cozy games. She also created a Cute 'em Up channel so that she can do Cute 'em Up content. If I didn't feel as financially strapped as I do, I probably would go all in on that. But I also don't know if there's a better way to stop being financially strapped than to go all in on that. It's just a matter of how long it takes to get something rolling and being totally broke at the same time. But I've been in this super position for like years now, so I got to do something about it. Okay, let's see. You're gonna do another Carrie adaptation? That's so unnecessary. The original Carrie is really good, and they don't really need to remake it, because it's not a modern story. Anime, I don't know why you're trying to hide being gay from your offline friends or whoever, but they probably know. They probably figured it out. I'm just letting you know that. Unless they're really fucking dense and conservative. In which case, maybe you need to get away. I'm glad you believe in me in the gaming space, Turlo Zap. I agree that I think... my Ludo narrative just into the story. Lamau, why? Because it's usually... There's a... I never actually watched this movie. I only saw the trailers for it. Fuck, it was called, like, Me, Myself, and Irene, I think. The Max Landis movie about a guy coming out to all his friends as gay and literally everybody just knew already. They're like, yeah, obviously. I think if you know what a gay person is, you should be able to tell if a person is gay. I think usually if you can't tell, it's because you just don't know what it would be like to know what a gay person is. Me, him, her. Thank you. That's the one. Not Me, Myself, and Irene. That's the what's it called? Other movie. Max Landis sucks. Is that because of all the allegations? He's a tough one because I'm sure he's probably done some weird shit, but I'm also sure that the people who were accusing him blew some of it out of proportion based on the way they were describing it. Frankly, everyone in Hollywood's a fucking weirdo. So, yeah, chances are Max Landis is not that cool of a guy. But he sure is a great writer, and he sure gives great writing advice. And he sure influenced my vlogging a whole lot. So, regardlessly whether he might suck, I grew up next to an entire cabinet full of Sandman statues. So at this point, someone being canceled... I can't, like, mentally partition... I cannot discredit all of the art created by people who are terrible because I will have nothing left. Art created by good people is like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and then you're done. Like, it's the end of the list. He wrote Bright. I mean, yeah, but... So, the thing about Max Landis, and about writers in general, writers are not directors. Like, when people talk about film directors, they put a lot of emphasis on them because it is kind of their job to make everything in the movie possible. Like, ultimately, it's all supposed to pass through them. If the director, it's not that they have to have their hands on everything, just that the director will have seen everything in the movie and given it a pass before it comes out. The writer does not get that job. The writer writes a script that then gets completely changed in the hands of everybody else who's making it based on what is actually doable. And Max Landis has a fuckload of videos about this. He has a ton of videos about the details of what it means to be a writer. Max Landis has sold hundreds of scripts, hundreds of them. He's one of the best paid writers in Hollywood. Most scripts that get sold do not get made into movies. Most scripts that do get made into movies do not get made into the movie they were written as. That's why we don't talk about writers that much, unless they are writer-directors like Quentin Tarantino. And the reason Quentin Tarantino is a writer-director is because when he was a writer, the directors changed his scripts too much, and he stopped giving his scripts away. He did not like Natural Born Killers. He thought it changed way too much about his script. And he was just... And what was the other one? There's another movie he wrote, High Fidelity, no, that's not the one. It's a name like that. Fuck, I don't remember. There's 2 movies he wrote in the 90s that just came out so differently from how he wrote them that he stopped selling scripts. But, like, Max Landis only sells scripts. He's not a director. He's not, well, he is, actually. He directed Me, Him, Her. But my point is he doesn't direct most of the movies he writes. And by his description, he said, like, there was a video where he just straight up said, like, Chronicle was, like, 80% the same way he wrote it. American Ultra was like 40% the same way he wrote it. Victor Frankenstein was like 20% the same way he wrote it. I don't know if he broke down Bright. I don't know if that was out yet. But I do know that the script for Bright sold for like an absurd amount. Like, he made a crazy amount of money off of having sold that script, regardlessly of whether it was a success in and of itself or not. So it's just one of those things where, again, it's hard to actually see what a writer does for movies through watching those movies. But if you've actually just watched a whole lot of Max Landis' vlogs and videos, you know what his writing style is, because those are like, just literally he wrote it and then made it into a video. So I know he's a great writer. It doesn't matter what the movies, suggest. I already know the man can write his ass off because I've seen his videos where nobody else had a hand in it, Hence why I think his advice is worthwhile, regardlessly of being maybe a huge piece of shit. Probably a huge piece of shit, because he is a Hollywood guy, Could I create a new channel just for gaming unrelated to my other projects? I will probably create a bunch of them. Again, Vera Bradley, my alternate personality, has 2 gaming channels right now already. It will probably make more. I don't know if other personalities of mine will end up with gaming channels too. But Vera has Cozy Queer Gaming, which has like 6 or 7 videos on it that were all made last year, toward the end of last year. And if you just search Cozy Queer Gaming, Vera, you'll get the channel. And then she also just created a Cute 'em Up channel. So, probably we'll start streaming on that sometime soon. I keep saying she. I'm talking about myself, but, like, I'm really trying to acknowledge my multiplicity more because it helps with my mental health. It doesn't help make me easier to communicate for other people, I don't think, unless they are really keeping track of it. But, whatever. Krona said I need to get weirder. So I'm just going to go ahead and let you all know all the time that I have multiple personalities and I can't keep track of them. Not one goddamn bit. Well, okay, a little goddamn bit, but... Speaking of Carrie, Tom Green and Drew Barrymore may have burned down their old house to mess with Bill Maher, who is their next door neighbor. God, I hope so. Bill Maher sucks. I should just make a part or two from the Shantae script, see how it goes. Also, as an act of self-love for putting all that time into the script. For sure. And I wrote that like fucking 3 years ago now. Part of the reason I hadn't finished it is that I just wanted to get through more Shantae games. Because like I wrote it up through... I don't remember if I actually beat the second game or if I just played a lot of it and then kind of got tired of it. Because I know it is shorter. But the third game I beat and I really liked. But I had put the script on hold because I was simultaneously stuck in the third game and also like I was so unenthusiastic about the second game that it was kind of like hard to write about because I didn't expect to want to be critical of one of the Shantae games in doing it. But the second game is a little ass. And I'm not talking about the Game Boy Advance game, which I pre-ordered the limited edition run, and I feel like that was supposed to be out by now, and I haven't received it. I need to look into that. I need to check in with what's going on with the with my gold Shantae Game Boy Advance game. God damn, my eyes look graven right now. Up all night, tight beat. True Romance, that was the one. Thank you. It's inevitable that Trixie will make another YouTube channel. I mean, I make them, like, all the time. Whether I post on them, that's a different story. The Vera Bradley channel had existed for several years before I posted anything on it. I have a channel called Twilight of the Golden Witch I've been thinking about doing something with. I literally don't know what it's for. I just have a channel called Twilight of the Golden Witch. Recently, I watched a video where FD Signifier said, you cannot have too many YouTube channels. You should really make as many of them as you can stand, pretty much. And the way I see it, with the way that the YouTube algorithm currently works, you should really just have a new channel for, like, literally every single fandom or even, like, type of content that you do. Like, if you make Brony songs and you make Brony analysis videos, just make a channel for each one. You know, if you make Brony metal songs and Brony rap songs, make those their own channels. If you make fucking, you know, if you make, like, a lot of content about one specific anime, make a channel for that one, just separate from the other one, you know? Like, it's hard to build new channels to a point that they get monetized, but at the same time, I really think if you don't have a video that, like, pops the fuck off within, like, a couple of videos, abandon the fucking channel. It's just not, it's not gonna happen, you know? Like, okay, Krona has, like, 10 videos, and, like, immediately they were above her like, batting above the sub count. So that's all, like, that means your channel's healthy right away. Right? Like, if you're already hitting above your sub count, and then now that she's got, like, 10 or 11 videos out, they're starting to get way more views than the ones before, where it was, like, it started as, like, 50, and then it was, like, 100, and now it's, like, 500. That's a healthy growth state, to me, for a channel. Vera's channel, you know, the Cozy Queer Gaming, if you look at it, like, the first video has, like, 100 views, and then the next couple of videos have, like, 150, 200, and then there's a couple of Infinity Nikki videos that have like 300 and 500, you know? So that's, again, very healthy growth state for a channel. Now, I didn't want to rush and try to force content onto that channel that I didn't think would hit, so after that last video, I haven't posted anything, because I haven't had an idea that I was like, this is definitely the next Cozy Queer Gaming video that will definitely get more views than the last one, you know? Like, I feel like as soon as you start coming up with shit just to have another video to come out, that's when you're fucked, you know? Like, and so I kind of I kind of only want to even release stuff if I think it will definitely be like a hit. And I don't mean like, oh, it'll get a standard number of views that one of my videos gets. I mean like bat out of my range, crazy hit. Otherwise, why even release it? Why not just make it like a patron exclusive or a members exclusive or whatever, you know? Like, because at least then I know someone paid for it. You should make a video about my multiplicity. I did. Oh, Turlozat pointed this out. It's called Characterizing 9 Sides of My Personality. And yes, it's like 4.5 hours of me literally describing how each of my alters that I can recognize came into existence and trying to sort them out from one another. Some of them are much more active than others. And I would say that through the project of making that video, it really helped to like make certain ones come to the forefront more, you know? Particularly Pluto and Vera have been way more prominent in my social interaction since then. And I feel like there's less distinguishing between some of the other personalities that like maybe were more just like different before, and now they've all kind of gotten a little bit closer, if that makes sense. But I also feel like I am currently in the process of becoming someone new. And it started with this last trip we took where, like, I think I got really good at identifying what I want out of life in a way I haven't been able to before. Like, I don't know. I think I understand what kind of interactions I'm looking for with people. And so I really want to put myself in front of more people right now. And that's why I'm streaming at 7 in the morning, trying to keep myself up long enough to get onto a daytime sleep schedule, is that, like, being up at night, you don't see any fucking people, you know? There's just no interactions to be had, and except for with other, you know, night owls you can talk to on the internet, but, like, usually by 4 a.m., you kind of hit a dead zone, and it's like, you know, maybe some people in the UK will be up, but they're kind of starting their day, not really trying to watch a live stream, you know, at like 10 in the morning a lot of the time. See you later, NMA. You probably already took off, but Ethan Klein is currently paying many Reactubers rent. You should get it on the dog pile. I don't know enough about what he's been doing for the last 5 years. I followed Ethan and Hila back around when, well, really I was following them before I got with May because they kind of represented the relationship that I wanted, and then I kind of got that relationship, but she was never into Ethan and Hila, so I kind of stopped watching them because I was just doing it instead of, you know, instead of fantasizing about it. Strategy is to pique your niche, focus on it, and go from that. Unless the channel blew up and became known enough, you can't go too far from the niche. Make separate channels for different niches. Exactly. What kind of genre of YouTube do you think could Ghostwriter for Trixie? I would say really, like, for sure, if we're talking YouTube videos, I could do any kind of, like, music analysis, film analysis, animation analysis, but I'm thinking more like conceptual, like if somebody needs to figure out how to turn an idea into something written, I think I can help with that a lot. Like if you came to me like, oh, I'm trying to communicate that there's this trope in shonen anime that I've noticed or something like that, and you wanted to talk about that, but you didn't know how to write about it, I could probably figure that out. So that's the kind of thing that I'm thinking. Even more than ghostwriting, I think I am an amazing script doctor. It's something I've done a lot of just for free for friends and stuff. But I'm pretty good at figuring out where a word choice could be improved or where you could just like literally rearrange a sentence and it'll read better. Because I'm very sensitive to the flow of sentences and like the feeling of saying words. enemy. Forgot I had an alarm set. For reasons I'm not going to get into. I think hyper niching yourself out is a trap to an extent. I'm a variety-based channels are the future, like that little loot guy that makes videos about whatever game he wants to. Well, see, I think variety channels are the present. I think the future that we're emerging into is what I'm going to call self-federalization. Because, like, right now, the YouTube algorithm is heavily based on connections and like, follow-through from one channel to the next, you know? And it used to be more incidental, like me and Mother's Basement's channels being heavily interconnected was not something we had necessarily done on purpose initially, but once we noticed it, we started interconnecting our channels, and then even long after we stopped working together, that still has maintained, like, the most click-through I get is probably people getting to my old videos from new Mother's Basement videos, you know? Like, so those associations become really powerful when the algorithm thinks that your channel is connected to someone else's channel. And there's a lot of this in the Nebula space and in the BreadTube space where, like, if you really just watch the way FD Signifier and Lil Bill interact on YouTube if you really want to understand how to algorithmically lock two channels into each other. Because FD Signifier and Lil Bill, they make videos about the same subjects at the same time. They heavily interrelate them. They appear in one another's videos. They talk about each other on the community tab. They tag each other randomly all the fucking time. It is impossible to be a fan of FD Signifier or Lil Bill and not know about the other guy. You could not. It would not be possible, you know? So when you create that level of association, it basically guarantees that that person's videos are going to show up in your recommended. And that's what I'm trying to get to happen with me and creators who I personally think, like, not only that I vibe with them, but that I think my audience, like, if you like my content, there's no reason to think you wouldn't like this person, you know? If you like my content, I can't imagine that you would hate shitty kickflips or hate Gigadonk. Like, they're too similar to me. It's just not, it's not different enough for me to believe that you could, like, heavily dislike it or be totally unintrigued with it if you also like my content. So to me, it's like, the more I promote those channels, I'm just helping myself. You know, like, I know that those audiences should interrelate with mine because the content is just so similar. You know, it comes from such a similar place. Not to mention both of them like my content and I like theirs. So it's like, this is a natural fit. But it's also not something you can force, you know. You don't want, well, you can, but you don't want it to feel like, you know, oh, this is just for the algorithm. It has to be that there is a sincere connection and reason that we're working together, you know. So this business is so fucking complicated. There's so much thought that goes into, like, just making a stupid YouTube video in order to make money at the same time. Like, it should just be as simple as, I had a neat little idea. Let me flip on a camera and talk about it. But it's not. It never has been, and it never shall be. Oh, man. Can you exploit the related channel algo boost if you run both channels yourself? Yes, that's kind of what I was getting at when I said self-federalization, is that if you make a bunch of channels and you know, correlate them heavily, then that helps too. Another channel I discovered through FD Signifier is Alurinati, and she has like 5 channels that, you know, all of them I found out about immediately when I found her. Just click on all of them, hit subscribe. And it's like the pop culture channel, the politics channel, the movie review channel, you know. I'm trying to think, I know there's another one. Live streaming channel, or podcast rather. But yeah, they're definitely boosted by being interrelated. To an extent that it's probably even better to post a video on one channel, then the next channel, then the next, and keep doing that cycle so that you're never burning one out and all of them are creating that interrelatedness together. It probably is literally better for the algorithm. You need to sort out how you would price your services and if you would offer NDAs. I mean, I would offer them if somebody wanted, you know. That's really more on their side. Is like, if you don't want me to talk, I will sign the, you know, not admitting that I ghost wrote your video paper. Ole and friends and Ole and chill. Yeah, indeed. What do I like about FD Signifier? I think he is really good at maintaining perspective in a similar way to Dick Masterson, even though they're very different politically. Both of them have this mindset of like, we can examine all of this rationally while appreciating that this does not operate based on rationale, and that expecting it to or trying to change it through rationale is not going to work. Like, you can be right all day, it's not, you know, like, being correct doesn't change anything. Changing things changes things, and people who change things are not often correct. A lot of the time, the correct people are just kind of undoing bad changes that incorrect people made, you know? So, like, I feel like a lot of leftists and a lot of leftist rhetoric is very aggressive of, like, we got to do something. And FD Signifier is like, for most of you, the best thing you can do is less, you know? Like, most of you really don't need to be doing anything because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So, you know, chill out and figure out what you're doing first. Then you can do things, you know? But right now, there's no coordinated action to be taken. There's no coordination, you know? A big part of his thing is saying, like, there is no cookout. Like, stop saying, like, you're invited to the cookout. This is not the time for a cookout, you know? There is not a cookout. So stop thinking about that and worry about what's actually happening. Also, he gave me a massive shout out in his 7 million views video on the Kendrick and Drake beef. So, probably the most powerful cosign I have ever received on YouTube. And at the time, I had never even seen any of his videos. I had, like, heard the name, but I just knew it was, like, a leftist YouTuber, not really a circle I was following at the time. So after getting that epic cosign, I, of course, then binged his videos and realized this guy's really cool. And now I've also got the cosign from the company, man. All of my favorite YouTubers have cosigned me. I've never loved a podcast I couldn't get myself onto. And I've never loved a YouTuber I couldn't get to cosign me. That's how I know. I've got the power in my lungs. The power to move you. History of Wonder Boy and Young Nasty Man. Rig-a-doo-doo, rig-a-doo-doo, a secret to be told, a gold chest to be bold, and blasting forth in 3-part harmony. Ow! Remember that song? Remember the year 2001? I'm not going to act like I actually heard that in 2001. Do I like Sam Hyde and have I watched Fish Tank live? I think Sam is a really interesting guy. I like Sam in the sense that I like him as a content creator. I think as a person, he is deeply off-putting, obviously on purpose, but, like, why would I ever want to be around someone who is deeply off-putting on purpose? Unless it was, like, you know, not aimed at me. And I don't think Sam Hyde would ever not aim it at someone. I think pretty much if you're around that guy, he's gonna make you uncomfortable. So, you know, I think Fish Tank has gone downhill. It's not interesting to me anymore. The first 2 seasons, I watched all the recaps from Cucumber Feet. I don't really recommend him because he's kind of transphobic, but it was entertaining. But the shtick got old to me. Zoe Unlimited uploaded a dope video about Dochi's marketing strategy that led her rise to the top, so I recommend watching it since you're a Dochiologist. I probably will. If it's the one that's about her reading that book, I think I've seen it. Having a good personality and unique style helps with making multiple channels, even if you cover different topics. That's true. I was mentioned in that video. Yes, indeed. In the I'm What the Culture Feelin' video, like 2 hours in or something like that. Hour and a half in, something like that. There's a part where he's talking on screen and he says something like, I got this interesting point from an anime YouTuber of all people that I used to follow called Trixie the Golden Witch. And he was talking about my, Kendrick and Drake beef video that I had made right around when Not Like Us came out. I think he shout you out too in his Eren Yeager video. Well, that's excellent. I don't know if I've seen that one yet, actually. Because I kind of probably figured I just knew what he was going to say about Eren Yeager. I didn't like his implication that anime can make you a bad guy. So let's say, I definitely think it can, though. Like, I definitely think anime can make you a terrible person. And I don't mean, like, make you as in it's forcing you to. I just think that it can reinforce bad habits very easily. But it's not just anime, obviously. Like, almost any media can do that. It's just that anime... I feel like the culture of anime is very defensive over things that are very worth criticizing about it. Like for a long time when people raise valid criticisms with anime fans just jump down their fucking throats and try to be like, oh, you just don't understand Japanese culture. It's like, okay, I do, but whatever, have the opinion you want, you little bastards. But yeah, anime fans are hard to deal with, so I don't blame anybody for coming to the conclusion that anime makes you bad, because anime fans don't give it the best look. It's not the one about reading the book. The video I'm talking about is new and called You Don't Need a Man, You Need a Brand. Okay, maybe I don't remember that one. I will rewatch it, I guess, if I haven't seen it, or if I have seen it. Media shapes your worldviews, not your actions. True. But you do take your actions based on your worldview, so. If you really want my feelings about how anime fandom can be negative, watch my video Anime Fan Trap from a few years ago. It's about how I think a lot of people are literally trapped by anime. And a lot of the time it's because they don't really have a solid identity. And so anime represents an identity for them, like an exterior identity. But it's really hard to explain that to other people and make them feel whatever you're feeling about that thing. Like anime fans will be like, oh, this thing is me. But what they mean by that is not self-evident in watching it, So other people will watch the anime and be like, this is you? And then they point to thing you weren't considering about it. And you go, no, not that part. And it's like, okay, but, unless you really explain what you mean, there's a lot going on in these anime, I have to use the bathroom, so I'm going to take you out of it, leave you somewhere else, and you're just going to, stare at the ceiling for a minute or so. quick question for those of you who are saying I should get into gaming stuff. Do you like Marvel Rivals? Because Bird is super into Marvel Rivals. And we just picked up his old computer, which should be able to run it. And so I can finally play with him, because my laptop hasn't been able to run it. It still sounds like a toilet in here. Not Marvel vs. Capcom, you son of a bitch. I said Marvel Rivals. It don't got no Mega Man. Actually, I have no idea who makes Marvel Rivals. It's probably like a company that just makes the game or something. You think I'd have interesting things to say about it? Well, that's good. Will I ever make content with Vic again? Absolutely. We've kind of been, like, esoterically collaborating in the sense that everything I was explaining about federalizing channels, I've been trying to do with Vic and Hope, particularly Vic with his vlogs on Vic and Hope, because he did this comeback vlog that was called, it was Poor Boy Eats Again. I think it was called something like that. And, or Poor Again Boy Eats, I don't remember. He did that video, I did a response called Vlog Siblings, and then he did a response called, What I Actually Do, and then I did a response, what was my response to that one? Shit. It might have been a live stream. I don't know. I did a response to him. I know that. We've been going back and forth, and I'm trying to create that connection. His videos have been doing pretty well, considering that they are like long-ass vlogs from an obscure channel. So I feel like we're doing a good job. Is Ben Saint evil? Unquestionably. Unquestionably evil. I've said it already, but he's on my list. There's only 2 people on the list right now. Ben Saint and Vito Gesualdi, but it's on site, and I'm gonna keep saying it so I hold myself to it, because I want it to be sure that if I don't hit Ben Saint on site, you will all call me a big coward. I would say a big pussy, but obviously I'd enjoy being called that. But you have to be like, you're a coward, you have no principles. I would lose all faith in everybody if I didn't hit Ben Saint the second I saw him, or Vito Gesualdi. But Vito's probably gonna get his ass beat long before I can get to him. Vito's pissed off so many people. I really doubt I will be the first person to hit Vito in the face. But Ben, for legal reasons, she means website. No, I'll catch an assault case. I don't care. It'll be worth it to hit Ben. I'll probably never see him, if we're being honest. He's kind of a huge pussy himself, so I doubt he will ever go anywhere that he knows I'm going to be. So I really doubt I'm going to get the chance, as much as I would love, to cold cock that son of a bitch. Cold clock. Cold cock? Sure. I'll give him a cold clock and a cold cock. Because he'll die, so his cock will grow cold? Sure. That makes some kind of sense. Is Munchie evil? No, Munchie's fine, I think. I don't know. I haven't talked to Munchie. Last time I talked to Munchie, he said, like, thanks for getting me into weed, by the way. You were right all along, or something like that. And I was like, all right, he's off getting high in college. But yeah, I haven't heard from him since that. The last time I heard from Ben was when I was screaming at Vito. And then he came into the chat because I had unbanned everybody. And I started screaming at him, and then Bird banned him so that I would stop being distracted screaming at him and get back to screaming at Vito. The task at hand, you know what I mean? Who the fuck is Vito? I'm deep enough in that lore. Did they go by a different name? No, Vito is Dick Show lore. He's not PCP lore. Vito Gesualdi is the co-host of The Biggest Problem in the Universe, and he and I have worked together a few times. We've met a few times. I always thought he was like a weirdo, but in a like, hey, everyone I know is a weirdo, so what difference does it make kind of a way? But as time has gone on, he has revealed himself to be just an absolutely insufferable piece of human fucking garbage. So I'm pretty fucking tired of him. Frankly, I'm tired of Vito. I could get more into it, but it's kind of fucked up, the stuff that he's been doing lately. Particularly joking about how he wants to sexually assault my friend Mint Salad on the basis of his conflict with her boyfriend, Riley. It's not pretty. And again, I'm probably not going to be the first person to cold clock Vito over this current drama. He's also very transphobic, yeah. Increasingly so over time. And this happened like last week. This literally happened the day that we were driving to Riley and Mint's house. We're listening, Bird had his headphones on and was listening to Biggest Problem. And he starts just telling me, like, Vito just said, you know, like, quoting what he said. And he says, like, this permutations of the same joke, like, 5 different times. And then doubled down on it on other podcasts and other appearances he's had since then. Just to make sure everybody knows that he is really that much of an asshole. Yeah, a lot of people are not happy about this. I mean, consider this man was already very widely hated, like already one of the most hated guys in a community full of hated guys. But now he's somehow found like a new bottom floor, you know, like I don't know if people hate him as much as Ralph yet, but he's getting down there, you know, down there into the deep in the hated guy minds. Turlo Zap said, to be fair, Vito does look like a predator and woman beater. God damn. Sending Mint my love. Vito has never been funny. I think he's been funny a few times, but not anything memorable. Like, I pointed this out in my vlog clips that, like, when I think of his voice, I mostly think of him going, you know, like, just struggling to find something funny to say. Or doing, like, a big showmanship voice in place of saying anything funny. Who's worse, Vito or Maddox? Oof. God damn. Maddox. Oh, it's tough. It's tough because Maddox never masturbated his cat that we know of. And the cat thing is still the most, like, what the fuck, like, thing. One of the most what the fuck things I've ever heard from a person that I've had to interact with. Landon with $2. Full Metal Panic. Vito 0 to 1. Absolutely. Why did you say Full Metal Panic? I don't know what the relationship is there. Oh, yeah. Let me give you the cat story. So, Vito had, I guess, an incorrigibly horny female cat that he took to the vet, who told him, like, gave him, like, I don't know, some kind of cotton swabs to, like, masturbate the cat with when it's... And he did this for, like, a long time. And he talked about this on the show. And everybody went, what the flying fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? What are you fucking talking about? What the actual fuck are you talking about? What do you mean by that? What? How? When? Why? Where? What? Why? When? How? What? Why? Where? When? How? So I wrote a rap that goes, Vito is a cat raper, yet another shit take from a fat faker. Vito is a cat rapist, yet another shit take from a fat fascist. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he's out of his fucking mind. Yeah, supposedly the vet told him to do this. That's his story. No one understands where he found this vet. You know, he told this story like he thought this was normal. And I don't think I need to tell you it's not normal. So yeah, I've to me that's always been the singular worst Vito story. Some of it's just kind of weird and funny. Like there was a time he had like a shitload of cockroaches die in his PS4 because I guess cockroaches like the warmth of a PS4, and I don't know if he just didn't notice it was happening, but he ended up like a full PlayStation full of cockroaches. He found the vet on the dark web where he got his other toys. Jesus. Sounds like a lie. Obviously, he needs help of some kind, or needs a handler, or needs to report to the doctor. Dick is his handler, I think. I think as close to... I mean, I don't know how the fuck Vito would be sustaining a living without other more successful people to, to cling to. Because again, he's a very hateable person. I'm not the most likable person. There's a lot of people who hate me. And there's a lot of good reasons to hate me. I've said crazy shit. I've done crazy shit. I know I'm not like I know I'm in a glass house throwing stones right now. But I like to think that at least the glass at my house is a little thicker than the glass at Vito's house. Because Jesus Christ, I've seen way too much of what's going on in Vito's house. As somebody who's never been there. Too much in my mind's eye from all the stories. Holy moly. Well, I'm pretty fired up. I've only made $2 on this stream so far, which is not enough, but I don't know what to do about it. I probably will play Marvel Rivals today because I need to make sure the computer can do it. Bird really wants to play with me. It'll be a good way for us to get into streaming together, get his streaming off the ground. I just hope people want to see it, you know? Don't compare yourself to a cat molester. True. Nobody really deserves comparison to Vito. I mean, yeah, again, I feel like I could go on all day about, like, sus and weird shit that he's done, but the cat thing is just so far beyond the pale that it really kind of drowns the rest of it out in my mind, like... Hey, thank you, Serial Experiments Lane, or Low, rather, for $4.99, and it just says here in the present day, present time. And you don't seem to understand. A shame you seemed an honest man. And all the fears you hold so dear will tend to whisper in your ear. And you know that the say will hurt you, and you know that it means so much, and you don't even feel a thing. I am falling, I am fading, I am drowning, help me to breathe. I am hurting, I have lost it all, I am losing, help me to breathe. Ah! Okay. Have you met Vito? I'm Serial Experiments Landon. I have met Vito. Let me tell you the story of the time I spent the most time with Vito. That slope ceiling is giving you anxiety as a tall person. It's tough. Okay, let me show you this shit. This morning, or rather last night, going up the stairs in the dark, I hit my head on the low-hanging ceiling because I was in an alter mind who has not gone up those stairs as many times as most of my other personalities have. Because most of them think about that shit real hard. But poor little baby Pluto was rushing to get her laptop, and she banged her head so hard I had a full fucking content switch of the mind. It was intense. It left me very uncoordinated for the next couple hours. That's part of why I've been having such a fucking strange morning. I don't want to get into too much. What was I thinking just a second ago? All right, Vito. When I met Vito, Jesus Christ. Alter mind. Yeah, like a different alter. Like a different... I hit my head so hard, Digi almost came back from the dead. That would be so fucking funny. Like getting brain damaged into being somehow like more Digibro than originally, like only being the online persona permanently or something. I don't know. I think Digibro is more of like a character than a actual full blown personality. Like I kind of described Digibro in my characterizing 9 sides of my personality video as being like a collaborative effort between Black Rose, XXX Transition, and Freak. Fuck, I almost called him Freak Power. What the fuck is his Deep Peace Figment? That's the boy. That weird fuck somewhere in the back of my skull. The It monster. His ideas with $5 says, Umineko today, queen. Umineko, cackle, cackle, cackle. Yes. Yes, I think we can do Umineko today. I think we can do it probably before too long. Not too late. Not too late into the day today. Not too very late. But not this early either. It's only 8 in the morning. But not too late. Digibro is what Filthy Frank is to Joji. Kinda. Definitely similar. Similar pattern. Play as Venom. Venom! I couldn't. I would be thinking about Eminem the whole time. Right, I was going to talk about meeting Vito. How much money would it take for you to make a full cover of Duvet? I'd buy that next time I get paid. I tell you what, I'll just make it and you can buy it then. If you mean like... Do you just mean like a karaoke or like me trying to recreate the instrumental? Because I can't play any of the instruments, but I could do something ethereal maybe, or a cappella. Can I ask how much gaming laptop in your mall? I don't know what you mean by that. Speaking of Umineko, the fans from that are hardcore, and they would watch comprehensive analysis vids of the VN. Oh, no doubt about it. I have to play the whole thing first to do anything like that, and I don't even know if I'm capable, to be frank. Do I have multiple personality disorder? Sorry if that's not the right terminology. I think so. I mean, the terminology is dissociative identity disorder. If you watch my characterizing 9 sides of my personality video, I really go in depth about it. It's like 4.5 hours long, but I haven't spoken to a therapist about this, so it's not like diagnosed. But based on my understanding, I at least think I have OSDD1A, which is Other Specified Dissociative Disorder 1A. Which, as I understand it, is almost kind of like light DID, but it's possible that I just have full-blown DID and I can't really perceive it fully because there's a lot of holes in my memory. Like, people tell me that they have told me things and I don't remember them telling me those things shockingly often. So I think probably I am switching in and out of different personalities more often than I really give credit for because they don't share all of the same memories. Like, I think there's enough... How do I put it? It's like my body remembers, but my brain doesn't always, if that makes sense. I have a lot of holes in my memory to block out the trauma, yeah. I got burn holes in my memories. My homies think it stank. I miss my cocoa butter kisses. Okie dokie, alky. Keep it low-key like Thor, little bro, or you'll go blow the loudy. Saudi of sour Saudi. Gaming laptops are quite expensive. I'm not really interested in owning like a gaming laptop. Again, I have a desktop already. The laptop I have is an ROG Zephyrus, which was like $1,400, and that's not even strong enough to run Marvel Rivals. Bird is on this beast, this Alienware beast, and even that, he has said, like, you know, even being the most powerful laptop he's ever used, it's still not as powerful as a great desktop, you know? Just doesn't have the power output ability. Based on your playthrough so far, I think you'll be able to add value to the Umineko analysis discourse. I mean, I hope that the analysis I do while playing is, you know, like, is interesting enough as it is. It's hard for me to imagine being able to make, like, a singular piece about something so big, you know? I haven't done it very often. Like, I don't make a lot of content about long stuff because there's just too much to say. A lot of my work is about decompressing the meaning of something, and so if it's something that's all like both dense and long, then decompressing that just to be even longer is like how, you know, where's the end? You know, it makes me feel like the analysis would have to be as long as the game at that point, and I'm sure there's something briefer I'll be able to do maybe, but comprehensive is a lot. Whatever happened to Chance the Rapper? He got married in a very ugly way, and now he's gotten divorced in a very ugly way. And it's not been good for his career. But he's made some good songs here and there. Review Cousins by Ye. I gave my cousin hand. I gave my cousin hand. It's a masterpiece. It is a legitimate 10 out of 10 masterpiece. I've only heard it once at Riley's house. That's where I catch up on my Ye lore. Okay, about Vito. I was on an episode of The Biggest Problem live in Dick's house, and afterwards, you know, we go upstairs and because his show's filmed in the basement pretty much, and well, it's not really a base. It's like the furnace room downstairs, but the downstairs is underground because he's on the side of a mountain, and the upstairs is just like a living room, you know, big TV, hangout area, whatever. So we're hanging out upstairs, and Vito takes over the TV, and he won't stop showing us these, like, I would describe it as esoteric gambling videos. But basically, it would be videos that are like, you know those quarter machines where you drop in a quarter and it keeps going in? And, like, basically there would be, like, an elaborate setup inside the machine that would be really satisfying to watch fall, and then the video is just you waiting like 10 minutes before the thing finally collapses, right? And like this baiting you into keeping watching it until the exciting thing happens. Gacha Brain is a perfect fucking description. Yeah, he would not stop showing us these videos, and he just kept insisting on like how how easy it is and like how frustrating it is that people can make this type of content so easily that gets like all these views and stuff. And we were just like, okay, then do that. Like, why are you pretending to be upset at this stuff and showing it to us? And he was doing it for like a fucking hour, and we were like grilling him the whole time. Like, why are you showing us this? What is the point? This is boring. These videos suck. We get it. First of all, the point is obvious. Second of all, you're just watching them, like, back to back. You are just putting these on and watching them. And then every time we question him, he'd be like, it's just so easy. I mean, they get so many views. Just, you know, and it's obviously set up. Like, obviously they put the coins in there in that order. And, like, it's not, like, by chance or anything. We're like, yeah, no shit. Did anybody think that? Did anybody think these were, like, a guy showing up to a place and recording himself happening to get the jackpot? No, they're like very clearly content that is the way it is, you know. I'm not addicted to gambling video, but Baka, yeah, no. His gambling addiction is out of control, and it manifests itself in every way except for just gambling. Like, it manifests itself in constantly investing in, like, obscure games and magic cards and, like, all this shit that he doesn't engage with. He doesn't play the video games. He doesn't play Magic. He just collects the shit so that he can track the prices and, you know, imagine reselling it later for more than it originally was. You're very into trains right now? Or watching videos about trains right now? I don't know if I've seen any videos about trains, really. Sea-Dog VA makes a living just doing crane game videos? Damn. Yeah, so Vito just would not stop showing us these videos, and the last one he showed was like these people like endlessly pouring cream into a cake, and they keep insisting that they're like almost like, oh, it's gonna happen, but they just keep doing that for like 18 minutes or something, and then finally it goes off. And I mean, he kind of skipped through that one, but that one we at least appreciated like the humor in it. And it kind of made it feel like it was a big payoff to some bit he'd been doing the whole time, but we were like, that wasn't a bit. He just wanted to watch those videos. Literal actual brain rot, yeah. It did feel like a weird dream. It felt like a weird dream. We were literally all sitting there questioning him for like us at least 40 minutes to an hour about why he was showing us these videos. And the whole time, I kept desperately trying to think of something I could put on, like something I could take the remote away and put on something else instead. But like, you know, we were all pretty, you know, we're like kind of intellectually drained from having just done the podcast. So I get why he wanted to put the stuff on. It was just the fact that he wouldn't be straight about it. That he just kept being like he kept trying to make up justifications for why he was showing us this stuff other than just, I want to watch it, you know? And it was like, it was bizarre. Trixie was like, I'm gonna jump out the window, no, bye, Vito. I seriously was like, because it's tough, because I'm like, well, I want to play something that's going to entertain me and Dick and Vito, as opposed to Vito just entertaining himself and leaving us all in confusion. But I simply did not have the mental fortitude to construct an alternate situation. I was too baffled, too bewildered by what was happening in front of me. What's the biggest category of videos I'm watching on YouTube these days? Gotten into anything new? Mostly hip-hop videos, and I'm kind of falling out of it because they're very repetitive in that everybody kind of covers the same subject. This week is the 1-year anniversary of all Kendrick's diss songs, so it's been like 200 videos about Euphoria's 1-year anniversary. You know, now they're gearing up for all the Meet the Grams ones. I think Casavelli had the only video I saw on 616 in LA. But yeah, the Kendrick and Drake beef created an entire new section of YouTube, basically, like an entirely new hip-hop YouTube sphere that I've been following pretty heavily since it all happened. But after taking the trip last week and coming back, I've really been looking at a lot of those creators like, do I really need to watch every video you make, or would I rather, you know, like, hang out in my Discord and talk to people I actually know? Probably the latter. I want to see Meat Canyon of Vito. That would be awesome. Yeah, look, it sucks. Watch with me. Exactly. Exactly what it was like. Drake's a PDF file, but Kendrick is artificial industry plant type shit. I don't really know. Well, I guess I kind of know what you mean by that, but in the sense that if you are in the industry, then yeah, you are that. Like, being in the industry makes you artificial. Like, there's people who've been calling Doechii an industry plant, and I'm like, she's not an industry plant. She is simply what the industry wants. You know, like, she didn't have to be planted. She was definitely sought after because, like, she's unfathomably fucking talented and she does it all by herself. So, like, industry people salivate at the opportunity to hire somebody who already knows what they're doing and does not need help, you know. So yeah, Kendrick and Doechii definitely, they fall into that category of like they feel very industry because they are just like legitimately what they want to do is be popular in the industry, you know. Yeah, Doechii literally vlogged her struggle to make it as a YouTuber and musician, exactly, for like 10 years. And she's blown up like 7 different times. You know, like you can see the like the gradation of her just getting bigger and bigger over time, where like it's not like she was ever totally unsuccessful. Like she saw herself as a small-time YouTuber, and by YouTuber standards like she would have been, but she was never like nothing. You know, she always was getting at least a few thousand views, I think, from, like, pretty early on. Just being, like, a popular, you know, being good at what she does. Again, just, like, making great content. People tend to notice. And she just kept making better and better shit. What is my next plan? Am I going to an anime con or something? Or is there a specific con called Anime Con? Well, all I really have planned for this month is I really hope to make it to the Foxy Shazam show in Richmond on the 26th. That Vic and Cow Tools from the Discord should both be at. And then otherwise, I've got people coming over. Krona's coming over. Landon might be coming over this month. As for conventions, I can't afford to do any travel at this moment. But I am trying to find conventions to apply for as like a panelist or, you know, any kind of part of the con, because A, usually you get in free if you do that, and B, I love being a panelist and doing stuff at conventions, and I'm pretty good at it. So I've just spent a long time trying to figure out what even would be a good panel for me to do. Like, what do I specialize in and would want to talk about, you know, at a convention. I applied for a NecoCon panel because it turned out that their theme this year is cyberpunk, and I was like, I know everything about cyberpunk anime. What if I pitched a history of cyberpunk anime channel? But I don't know if I got approved for that, so, you know, gotta wait to find out. I don't know when they will actually announce those kinds of things. That's not till like way later this year, though. It's amazing how anxiety just blew up 6 years later. Shows how much the world wasn't ready for her. Indeed. I think that was definitely a case of, because she blew up to the biggest she had been yet, people went back and investigated her back catalog. And I also think probably a big part of it is like the name of the song literally being Anxiety. So like if you typed that into like TikTok and that song came up and you just picked that for your video, you know. I hate when songs go viral, nobody ever points out what video made them go viral. Like, I'm always curious, like, what was the TikTok, who used Anxiety and made it become such a big song, you know, on TikTok in the first place. I'm very curious about that. Could do a general talk on internet criticism, maybe read Oscar Wilde's The Critic as artist and riff off that. I don't know if you know this, that I have read like half of that in a video where I dubbed the Sword Art Online characters to be reading it. If you look up Sword Art Online is good now or something like that, the video is just me dubbing over Kirito and that blonde guy so that they're having the dialogue from that from Oscar Wilde's Critic as Artist. It's pretty fun. I only did like half of it though because it was really time consuming. I think Zoe Unlimited's video mentioned who made the Anxiety song popular, which is why I recommended watching that vid. Okay, I definitely need to see that then, because that's something people usually don't mention. Do I also use TikTok? Not really, no. I've never gotten into it like that. Shorts are tough for me because I don't like having to be compelled to keep changing the content. And I also don't like being shown things that I don't want to see but have to figure out if I don't want to see it. You know, like, I don't like that when I scroll, it takes me a second to figure out, like, what am I looking at? Should I care? Do I care? You know, like, I want to know all that before I click on it. And then I don't want to have to keep changing it all the time. You know, like, when you do get sucked into a video and then it's, like, 15, 30 seconds long, then it's like, oh, it's already over. Now I got to, like, change it. And I don't know when I'm going to get another good one, you know? I like throwing on something kind of lengthy that I know can stay on and be good, and I don't have to do anything, you know? You're still making that animation? Good. Animation is good. Okay. I'm not, like, necessarily... I'm not going to say I'm so tired I have to end the stream. I'm going to say that I am mentally incapable of continuing to formulate speech and stay awake. Did I do ghostwriting for Mint Salad when I retired? No. I have written some of the raps, but that's it. I did not ghostwrite any Mint Salad videos. I did show up in a couple of her videos, but I pretty quickly... I retired and I retired. I wasn't really doing shit. I made Media Melt magazine. Like 2 weeks after retiring, I made Media Melt magazine and told nobody about it. So, and then I wrote that Shantae script I was talking about earlier. The, like, 36 pages of Shantae script. And I think I also wrote, like, 20 pages of a Metroid analysis. But I just was, like, not trying to rush into anything. I feel when I watched the first 1.5 seconds of a shorts preview 20 times before I realized I'm staring blankly at nothing, doing nothing. Yeah, exactly. Make sure your alter egos don't hit the ceiling again. Yeah, that was... It was an odd... Because, like, sometimes I'm, like, not anticipating a switch coming. And so when it does, I feel like I'm so, like, lost in the days of the fact that it happened that I'm not paying attention to everything about how I'm acting. So, like, what had happened was... Like, I was using a broken keyboard, a keyboard with a broken I key, and I was copy pasting the I key, the letter I into my speech, and I told this to my Discord, and then Krona was like, you really got to stop using that broken keyboard until you can fix it or something. And I was like, but that means I have to switch back to my laptop. And they were like, Krona and Nisa, who was also in there at the time, were like, you should go get your laptop. And I was like, that's true, especially because if I want to play Umineko, I'm going to need the laptop. And so I realized the laptop was upstairs, but something about the way that they had told me to get the laptop was it was very cutesy, but like in a parental demanding way, like a motherly kind of, you know, oh, you should really go do that. You know, like, you should stop being ridiculous and go do something that makes sense. And that sort of awakened baby out of me, where I was feeling very, like, I don't know, put in my place, I guess, in, like, a positive way. Like, a way that makes me feel like, oh, I'm relying on the intelligence of someone else, so I don't have to think as much for myself. I think that's sort of the mindset that led to, you know, me very, like, innocently getting up and trotting along to go get the computer, and then, you know, in the darkness forgetting that that I would bonk my head if I don't duck down at a certain moment while going up the stairs. And then it was such a rude awakening out of that feeling, you know, of, like, whatever headspace I was in before hitting my head, I was violently ripped out of, you know, into a very different headspace. And so that gave me a lot of cause to reflect of, like, oh, did I bump my head because I was in this mindset that I'm not usually in when I go up the stairs. You know, like I've been up these stairs a number of times, and I've hit my head a number of times too. But every time I've hit my head, I've gotten more conscious about the low ceiling, except for if I'm moving in the wrong state of mind, basically. So, you know, I'm not trying to blame. Why are you calling me Digi, and why are you telling me that you're not a pedo but you like Lolicon? You should not. You should stop. You should stop that. Don't do any of it before you get banned. Who hurt you, buddy? That's funny. Just a bored troll, probably from a poopy hole like Kiwi Farms. Maybe. Do they still have guys? Like, do they still have guys on there? I think probably there must be somebody on Kiwi Farms still, but I feel like after they had that time where they were taken down for a while, they've never really regained that, like, cultural cachet they had. What's poppin'? Good morning. Not a whole lot. I'm actually probably gonna wrap this stream up pretty soon because I'm getting a little delirious from having been up all goddamn night and yapping in a chair for the last 2 hours. I got other stuff I gotta take care of today, house-wise, and figuring out if I'm gonna play Marvel-wise. Career determination, type beat. The idea of this stream was to fire me up. I started off laying on the ground. I think it only took us like 15-20 minutes to get me pacing around, and then I literally paced around for like a whole hour until I wore myself out, and then I started sitting. But I'm in a chair, so that's still more fired up than being on the ground, I think. But real talk, I kind of got a shit. So I think this is the end. I think I have to wrap this up so I can go to the bathroom. Thank you all for being here with me this morning. Thank you for your suggestions and advice. I do think gaming is probably a big part of the answer. I think that's the most interesting medium in terms of like what could be done there. The amount of variety that exists in that space, and what, like, I feel like the gaming discussion space is rapidly evolving, and I could be a part of helping that evolution take shape. And, you know, I don't feel like the anime or film space, like, discussion spaces are evolving really at all, so, and y'all seem to agree, at least those of you who happen to be in chat right now, who've raised these suggestions. All right, see you later.